Shalom everybody and welcome to Old Soul Torah. This is the first of a series in uncovering the secrets of Genesis, the first two chapters of the Torah. Why did I choose these two chapters? Because I believe these two chapters holds the keys to all the most essential principles of existence, of reality, of the purpose we're here. Oftentimes, by the ignorant, these chapters are downplayed as fairy tales. And so I thought it was going to be only appropriate to open up with one of the teachings from the Zohar HaKadosh, the Holy Zohar, a Kabbalistic text that tells you the right and wrong way to read and study Torah. Woe to those who confuse the Torah's garments, the stories, as the Torah itself. They are nothing more than garments covering the loftiest of secrets. So the Zohar says the garments of the Torah are the stories, the bodies are the commandments, and the soul, the neshama of the Torah, is the Torah pnimiyut. It's the inner Torah. That is going to be really our focus for this series. And the Zohar gives a really interesting analogy. It says that if an angel were to come down to earth, its light would be so bright that a person would not be able to gaze at that angel directly in the face. And by gazing directly at the malach, at the angel, most likely that person's mind would snap. So what does the angel need to do? The angel needs to come to earth in earthly garments. So too does the Torah contain the loftiest of secrets, the greatest of lights, and it needs to be within the garments of earthly stories. With no further ado, we're going to open up with our first lesson, and it's only appropriate that we begin with the very first letter of the Torah, the letter Bet. If you notice in the upper right-hand corner, that very large letter, that is the letter Bet in Hebrew, and it's scribal law that to write a kosher Torah scroll, that letter has to be much bigger than the others. The question is, why? And this has been a tradition from the generation of Moses. So there's four explanations why the Torah begins with the second letter of the alphabet, second letter being Bet and not Aleph, which is the first letter of the alphabet. Four commentaries say the following. I'm going to list them first and go through them very quickly, and then elaborate on each of them later, which is going to be the bulk of the lesson. So the very first commentary is that Bet is the number 2 to teach us that the world or reality is made up of two dimensions, Olam Hazeh, this world, and Olam Haba, the coming world. The second commentary says that the Bet represents bracha, which is blessing, whereas the Aleph is the first letter of Arur, which means curses. The third commentary comments on the shape of the letter Bet, because Hebrew is from the right going left, the opposite direction of English. And if you look at the letter Bet, it has a roof, it has a floor, and it has a wall that blocks the direction looking backwards, but it's open on the direction looking forward. And the fourth commentary is on the preposition of the letter Bet. Bet is a preposition. The real word for beginning is Reshit. Bet Reshit is the preposition that can mean either in, on, or with, which really changes the idea of how the first line of Genesis could be read. So the first idea is that Beit is a number 2. It's the Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba, this world and the coming world. Let's get something straight right off the bat. The coming world isn't necessarily a future world. In Kabbalah, it is the first world, the original world. It is called the world of creation. So what others call heaven or the afterlife is actually the before life. It's where the soul is created. And because the soul is created in that dimension is called home. So if that's home, that means you're really a resident of heaven. You are a resident of the afterlife because that's your original home. So when you pass away, you leave this world and all you're doing is going back home. So the home, the other world, Olam Haba, is the actual real world. And this world, Olam Hazeh, is the one you're merely passing through. Okay? Which brings us to the second thing. So the second idea is that the letter Beit represents bracha, blessing, and not curses. So while you're going through this dimension, while you're going through this world of contrast and duality, good and evil, which by the way came as a result of the eating of the tree of knowledge, which is also called the tree of good and evil, implying a duality, and Beit is the number 2, which represents a duality. When you're living in this kind of contrast, you're going to have a lot of unpleasant experiences. Nowhere in the Torah does it say that life is going to be easy. Life is going to be full of struggle, uncertainty, and painful episodes. Therefore, the Torah says, the Torah begins with the idea of blessing to remind oneself that it's a blessing you need to focus on. Because the letter Beit is also the Hebrew word for bayit, which means home or house. So this world is considered a house and a home, but also what the Torah wants to teach us is that you can house either blessing or curses when you go through this dimension. And so it's saying choose the blessing, right? Focus on the blessing. You should house the blessings in your life if you want to make it. The third commentary that is based on the shape of the letter Beit, if you remember. So the wall that is closed is the wall looking backwards. And the Talmud has a commentary that one should not spend too much time gazing backwards. It is closed for a reason. It is sealed shut for a reason. And the Talmud, the Mishnah says this, and the Talmud, the Gemara elaborates on this by saying that there were thousands of worlds and civilizations and generations of man before Adam. So those who believe that Adam was the first of the first of the first ever first, and this is the only dimension or universe that is out there in the entire, of all the different galaxies, you're mistaken. Okay? The Talmud says that there were civilizations and generations before this that were created and destroyed. And this is all through the Kabbalistic teachings and the oral tradition. But one should not try to understand what happened before. It is deleted for a reason. It's blocked for a reason. If one cannot understand why it might be prohibited to look too deeply in the worlds before ours, well, the same applies to the lifetimes we've had before the current one. So Judaism does believe in reincarnation. It does. The doctrine of past lives is within the tradition, but it's not. It's part of the esoteric tradition. That means it's not a principle of faith. That means that if one chooses not to accept and believe it, it's perfectly fine. It will in no way get in the way of faith, right? But there is an idea that even if you have a past life, you shouldn't be looking back. Don't look back is the message of the letter Beit. Not just in previous civilizations, but also in previous lives. Because a lot of people want to know their past lives, but in reality, I'll be honest and clear and blunt with you, human history is not friendly or pretty. It's anything but pretty. Much of human history is a history of pain and suffering and inequality and victimization and violence. And the fact that you had to come back into this world again to do this life over, that's already an indication that something might have been left unfinished, incomplete. Like, let's say you use social media and you uploaded a photo of your past, a photo from 10, 11, 12 years ago. And then, you know, let's say it's Facebook, and the memories every day on this day, you have something that happened on this day from the past. What happens is when you click on that, if you like it, if you comment on it or whatever, even though it was uploaded 12 years ago, you reactivate it, and now it appears in your news feed and everybody sees it. You brought it back to life. You resurrected an old memory, and now it's reactivated. Now imagine you go to a past life that had a lot of trauma and pain, and you open that door and you bring attention to it. It comes back to surface. You're reactivating something that could be dangerous to this life. So the Torah is protecting you. You have to understand that the Torah is an instruction manual for the earth life, to how to navigate this earth life successfully. Not only are we discouraged from reactivating any past life incarnations, we also want to do some damage control regarding future reincarnation. In fact, as I said before, there is hardly any mention of reincarnation in Jewish life except one place where it vividly states it, and that is our nightly prayers before going to sleep. So here's the prayer itself. Behold, I forgive and pardon anyone who has angered me or antagonized me or has sinned against me, whether in relation to my body, my money, my honor, or anything that pertains to me. And then it goes all the way down, and if you see in the yellow, whether it be in this present incarnation or in another incarnation, any human being, and may no person be punished because of me. So here the forgiveness is a form of release. It's a form of letting people go if they've done you any harm. Question: why do we need to let go and release? And the answer is because there's any unfinished business means we have to do this whole thing again. We have to go through a future incarnation until we sort this mess out. And you don't want to do that, right? Especially the people who've hurt you the most. Do you still want to see them? Do you still want to be related to them or married to them in a future incarnation? The answer is no. So we say this every night to release them so there's no attachments anymore. I'm offering the prayer in Hebrew too for anyone who reads the Hebrew. You'll see the reference to reincarnation with the word Gilgul, which literally means like in reincarnation related to the idea of a wheel, as in the wheel of the soul. So now we're going to get into the very idea of the preposition. The preposition of beit can be in, on, or with. So rather than reading the first verse as in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, you can read it as with beginnings, God perpetually creates the universe, heaven and earth. Meaning heaven and earth are in a perpetual state of being renewed. We say it every morning in our prayers, and that is, in his goodness, in his love, in his mercy, the Creator is in perpetually renewing the creation. The moment the Creator, Hashem Yitbarach, the moment he stops to renew and recreate the universe, we cease to exist. In his goodness, the creation is ongoing. It's not once upon a time. History is not only linear. Only in our world where we perceive this reality as linear, past, present, and future. But it's an ongoing cycle of creation. So, the Hasidic masters say, if God is perpetually recreating this universe again and again and again, That means that change is in the air and that any moment can be a beginning for you and I. That means if there's something that you need to change in yourself, change is in the air. Tapping into the energy of creation is tapping into the energy of change. And with God's help, with his unlimited resource, with the strength available to you, each and every moment, you don't have to be the same person you were yesterday. And that is all from the letter Beit. And there's much, much, much more, but we'll save it for the next lesson. God bless, and thank you for tuning into this channel. It is understandable that a person wants answers to life's most profound and pressing questions. What am I here to learn? What are my karmic soul lessons? But the Torah wants us to move forward, as it would be counterproductive to reopen old wounds of the distant past. The greatest truth we have yet to understand is that we need not search very far for our tikkun or karmic correction. The universe will deliver it to us, right to our very doorstep in real time. Whatever lessons that were mishandled in the past, return to us again and again until we get it right. That is the beauty of the way our universe was designed by our Creator. Today I face my life circumstances with courage, with full commitment to bring the best within me to surface. I move easily into the work that is mine to do. I am teachable, honest with myself, and willing. I trust in the ever-present guidance of God to lead me on my way as I embrace the new chapter of my life that is unfolding. I am ready to release the previous experiences that no longer serve the highest vibration of my soul. I move forward with grace and dignity. Hey guys, I just want you to remember, this lesson we just did today is a tiny little drop in a sea of wisdom that the Torah provides for us. It is only the first letter of the first word of the first verse of the first book of the Torah, and there's so much more. We're going to be doing a series. This thing is going to go on and on and on. So please, if you have not yet done so, please subscribe so you can stay in touch with us. And there's a lot coming up. God bless, and I hope you guys do well.